Many farmers are having to re-evaluate the way they farm in light of new climate change and environmental regulations, as well as shifts in consumer behaviour. Forestry, both native and exotic, provides income diversification opportunity and a means to boost environmental performance at an individual farm, catchment and national level. Farmers need to make sensible decisions around forestry, with this being not about a choice between farming or forestry, but rather about how to integrate forestry with farming. Up-to-date and easily accessed information on different forestry options tailored to their circumstances is what farmers are looking for. The Te Uru Rako 1 Billion Trees Collaborative project includes demonstrating the integration of forestry to support individual landowners meet their land management objectives. Rotorua agricultural consultants Perenag have recently completed such a land management plan for a rangatike farm that's a little out of the usual for the district. Let's look at how a variety of tree planting options could be integrated into what amounts to a large market gardening business. The Rangatike district is generally regarded as particularly suited to farming sheep and beef, but here in the Kawhatau River Valley, nature has provided an ideal landform to grow something quite different. The sign at the farm gate is an indication of the real centre of interest here. In the season, 100 hectares of the finest asparagus is harvested and trucked daily to the country's supermarkets. But move closer to where the land slopes from the cultivated terrace down to the river itself, and there's another 60 hectares of steep hillsides and river flats. It's especially this area that is under consideration in the land management plan that Perenag have developed for the farm.
The business here has really moved away from livestock. We're focusing on what we're doing on the flats. So there's a work management side where we're actually really constrained on for time and labour during that period. So the area of hills down to they sort of sit second to the business that we got going on up here. There's that side of it. Keeping stock out of the river is an issue, given the nature of the river and how it floods quite regularly during the winter time. And look, there's steeper areas which are actually better suited in trees. I'm the manager of this property. I've obviously the owners are very keen to put natives as a legacy and actually returning some of this land to how it used to be, which is you look over the bank there, next to the river, and there's some beautiful pockets of natives. And in a way, it would be a shame to plant areas in exotics, which could look like that in time. So, but of course, a slow growing crop like that, you've got to look at a way you can do it where it's actually going to have some economic value too. Nurse crops are an option. Of course, that all needs to be looked at and discussed. But having a nurse crop that would give some carbon income with a long-term strategy of putting it back in a native block would be absolutely what I'd see as a perfect case scenario.
Already a picturesque vista, it's not hard to imagine how these river valley slopes could be enhanced with well thought out planting. And the management plan offers options that should provide strong environmental benefits without affecting the continuing profitability of the asparagus growing operation. At the moment, there's still stock grazing down by the river, but that could be about to change.
An integrated land management plan is really about putting, I suppose, getting the land use right, the best use for the specific class of country. I'd like to see a mixture of high value trees, pockets of natives, as I've mentioned, and trees that are going to have basically a dual purpose. You might have the timber and the carbon side of it. So there are plenty of options. Bearing in mind the soil, we as I said, there's part of a lot of that area which doesn't have a lot of topsoil. You put something like pines on there, and they're probably going to blow over. So we've got to be very careful and about what we do plant. So look, I think it's quite exciting about what that area of the property could look like.
The 1 Billion Tree program presents an outstanding opportunity to make a positive contribution to the country's climate change obligations. And the completion of an integrated land management plan is an ideal starting point to really understanding your property. It provides a detailed blueprint that will assist in maintaining a resilient business operation, as well as creating a thriving ecosystem that will last into the future. Return to the start of this website to read the detailed integrated land management plan prepared for the Mangaweka asparagus farm.